There definitely seems to be some bad blood between Canelo Alvarez and Oscar de la Hoya, and now Oscar has criticized Canelo's last fight even more. Oscar used to promote Canelo on his team, but after their falling out, things seemed to get a little rocky. In Canelo's last fight, Oscar gave his prediction on what he thought was going to happen. Oscar stated, "Alvarez is going to break him down. It's not going to be easy. I have Canelo winning. I just feel that Canelo must knock him out to impress. I think Canelo's last fights have been a little shaky. We all know that, and he knows that. If Canelo comes out and knocks out Charlo, it's a win-win for everybody." Oscar also made sure to point out some weaknesses of Canelo while anticipating the fight with Jermell Charlo.
Okay, breakdown. Canelo Charlo next week. Should be a good fight. So Canelo, obviously, he's very flat-footed, heavy inside the ring. He literally walks like he has quicksand on his feet. But I think that if he throws those big bombs on Charlo's arms, obviously during the rounds his arms will come down, and in the later rounds Canelo will chop him down and eventually maybe stop him. But if Charlo keeps his jab, double, triple, double, up, down, and throws combinations and moves and stays this distance, he can give Canelo a lot of trouble. Just like Bivol, he was throwing punches, coming back out. Throwing punches, coming back out. Keep your distance, use your jab, boom. Should be an easy win for Canelo, or should be a masterful performance by Charlo.
That managed to be rather tame considering the fact that Canelo believes that Oscar is a hypocrite. Canelo even sent a warning to Ryan Garcia about dealing with Oscar. Canelo stated, "I'm glad to go away from him. He's crazy. He's a hypocrite. He doesn't have any fighters left. Ryan Garcia has a problem with him. Nobody wants to be with him because he's not loyal. Right now he's talking about me, but if I went with him it would be, oh, he's the best pound for pound." Not all of Oscar's comments have been negative though, and he even tried to hype up an all-Mexican fight for Canelo earlier this year. Canelo stated, "I strongly feel that Alvarez versus Munguia, an all-Mexican showdown, is inevitable. Boxing hasn't had two Mexican warriors collide in recent times. Alvarez versus Munguia has to happen in the near future in order to keep Mexican boxing alive and thriving and bigger than ever. We have to show the fans that Mexican boxing is the very best. Canelo and Jaime in the near future, I believe, can happen." Oscar definitely thought that Canelo was regressing in terms of choosing his opponents though, and he stated, "In terms of opposition, I'm not sure which direction he wants to go. It seems like he's regressing inside the ring. He's regressing in terms of picking opponents. He's fighting all these British fighters and it does nothing for his legacy. So I don't know whose fault that is. I don't want to mention anything. I think Canelo should analyze carefully who he wants to fight next, whether it's Bivol, whether it's Munguia, but he has to step up and fight the tough opposition. The tough guys that are out there that can give him a fight. It's not the John Ryders of this world. Sure, those are the types of fights that build your legacy. The type of fights where people have to guess who's going to win, where people have to think about it really hard." Canelo wasn't too happy about these comments, but he knew better than to say too much on camera.
Oscar has actually made some comments recently. He said that you're regressing in terms of picking your opponents by fighting these British fighters. Now, I understand John Ryder is a mandatory, but would you like to respond to Oscar saying that you're regressing and it does nothing for your legacy?
No, I think it's not make sense to respond that, right? Oscar last year, he's act a little crazy.
When Canelo heard about how Ryan Garcia was getting ready to sign with Oscar, Canelo explained why he had such a bad falling out with his previous promoter. Canelo stated, "But in my experience, I told him to take it easy and you need to see what you want to do. I don't know anything about his contract because when I was with them, I made my own contract. They didn't come and say, you need to sign this. I came to them with my contract and told them what I wanted. We are loyal. We are the only fighters who stayed with them when everybody left him. Because I'm loyal, I treat everyone like family, and I did the same thing with Golden Boy. I don't know if he's good or not, but I think he's not the person that he shows. He's all about the business. For someone who seemed to have Canelo's back for so long, Oscar definitely likes to point out what simple techniques are a problem for Canelo.
Any style that you give Canelo that is similar to a Bivol, he's going to have trouble with. Anyone who stays on their toes, anyone who flicks a jab in front of his face, anybody who knows how to keep the distance, just like Bivol did, Canelo will have trouble. That's the bottom line, because again, he walks on quicksand. That's just what his style is. I mean, it's worked for him all these years, and he's become accustomed to knocking his opponents out, walking them down with a lot of power. He can take advantage of it, Charlo, if he knows how to use his distance. And the distance you get with your feet, the distance you obviously utilize with your jab, you keep your distance. But if you know how to combine the footwork with your jab or your right hand or your combinations, then it's a perfect combination to win.
Oscar definitely thinks that Canelo is on a decline ever since his defeat to Dimitri Bivol, and Oscar stated, "I've always said that he's on the decline, especially after the Bivol loss, because it takes a lot out of you. This performance against Ryder reconfirmed my thought process. It reconfirmed the fact that Canelo, not that he's getting old because he's young, but he's an old 33 for boxing. He's had a lot of wear and tear. He started fighting at 15 years old. I just felt that he should have taken out John Ryder. You dropped him and had him hurt. His body language was really not there, and Canelo should have thrown a barrage of punches and stopped him. Fighting in that 18 by 18 ring, it was your advantage. He couldn't move with his legs. His legs were slow. Those are signs from a fighter to fighter of slowing down, of wear and tear." Canelo isn't the only person taking digs at Oscar's habits and actions. Dana White also has taken nice little jabs at Oscar when asked.
A good friend of yours, Oscar De La Hoya, has announced he's coming out of retirement to box again. I just wondered if you had any...
Cocaine isn't cheap. It's expensive. Gotta make money.
Thanks, Dana.
Yep.
Edgar Berlanga also seems to think that Oscar is crazy, and he stated, "Oscar gotta shut his mouth, man. Eddie's the best in this business. People don't understand. Eddie came from the UK. He came from another side of the world, and he's taken it over. He's taken it over so rapidly. De La Hoya's a crazy guy. One day he's your friend, the next day he wanna talk about you. Obviously, you saw what happened with Canelo Alvarez. I had a sit down with De La Hoya right before I signed with Eddie. He's a guy with an itchy Twitter finger. He just want to type his off. Just chill, man. Relax." After Ryan Garcia's loss against Gervonta Davis, he felt like his own team had betrayed him and abandoned him, and he made his opinion very public. Ryan stated, "After the fight, nobody was there for me. My team just didn't come to the press conference. Somebody betrayed me in camp. I was left with that. I had Tank's team care about me more than my own team." Speaking of Oscar's Twitter finger, he took to Twitter to put Ryan Garcia on the spot 2 months after his loss to Gervonta Davis. Oscar stated, "What the Ryan Garcia? It's been almost 2 months and you're still crying about the post-presser? The blame for your loss is on you and your advisor Lupe. He is the only one who pushed you to accept that insane rehydration clause, and that is the reason you lost. Man up. Own that. Also, you keep saying Tank's team offered more support for you, blah blah blah. Bro, they set you up to lose with that rehydration clause, and most importantly, Al Heyman didn't even show up the entire week. Actually, he never shows up. How's that for support?" Oscar swears that he was looking out for Ryan Garcia at the same time, though.
"I want you to fight. I want you to be a legend. Do you think I wanted him to fight Tank Davis with a rehydration clause? Hell no. I'm looking out for him."
As for Oscar's drama with Canelo, he's come forward to call Canelo's fight with Jermell Charlo boring, and he thinks that those kinds of fights hurt the sport. Oscar stated, "Canelo versus Charlo, super boring fight. I mean, he just showed up for a paycheck. Canelo, obviously, like I said, on quicksand throwing bombs. He won easily. But anyway, look, if we want boxing to survive, if we want boxing to thrive, we need super fights like all the time. Fighters must fight each other. We have to come together. Promoters Eddie Hearn, Al Heyman, Bob Arum, whoever's out there, let's come together. I'm calling you out. Let's come together. Let's meet. The power of the minds and come up with something because boxing can die. I'm calling you all out. Let's do this. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to subscribe and check out some of our other videos on the screen right now.